Okay, good evening, everyone. It is 6:01 p.m. on Thursday, July 16th, 2026. This hearing has been advertised for 6 p.m. Today, so we're going to get started. I am Michael Clark. I am the solicitor for Abington Township, and I am the appointed hearing officer for the conditional use application for the Abington Middle School. We are convening the hearing for the application of the Abington Abington School District for a conditional use approval for the property located at 2056 Susquehanna Road in Abington Township, otherwise known as the Abington Middle School. Under Section 913.2A of the Municipalities Planning Code, the board is given the option to appoint an independent attorney as a hearing officer for a conditional use application. The hearing officer conducts the hearing. At its conclusion, the hearing officer provides a report and recommendation to the board. The board will then review the report, recommendation, transcripts, and all evidence and render a decision. The use of a hearing officer will provide greater flexibility in scheduling future hearings and help to bring this application to a conclusion. The Board of Commissioners appointed me as a hearing officer for this application at their meeting on May 14, 2026. This application requests conditional use approval pursuant to Section 2103.E of the Abington Township zoning ordinance to permit development of more than 30,000 square feet of new floor area of a use E14 school or college, public-private, in the CS Community Service Zoning District. The subject properties are located at 2056 Susquehanna Road and 970 Highland Avenue and are known as tax map parcels number 30-00-65-228-00-1 and 30-00-29048-00-1, respectively. There are two ways to participate in this matter: public comment or by party status. Public comment is available for all interested individuals at the end of the hearing. Public comment is an opportunity to make statements in support or in opposition to the relief requested in this application. I will ask for public comment after all the parties have presented their cases. Party status is an elevated form of participation afforded to those individuals who are particularly affected by the application by reason of close proximity to the subject properties or a unique basis of elevated interest. At the outset of the hearing, I will hear requests for party status. We will ask you some preliminary questions. The applicant's attorney has the right to ask you some questions, and I will determine as to whether you qualify for party status. Party status affords you the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant's witnesses, present testimony and evidence of your own, receive a copy of the board's written decision, and if you disagree with the ultimate decision of the board, take an appeal to the Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas. Before we begin, I'm going to mark certain exhibits. Township 1 is the application packet. Township 2 is a copy of the notice. Township 3 is the proof of publication. Township 4 is the proof of posting. Township 5 is the proof of mailing. Township 6 is the review of the Abington Township Planning Commission. Although we have not yet received that at this date, we will receive that and enter that into the record prior to the Board of Commissioners rendering a decision in this matter. The applicant this evening is represented by attorney Andrew Frymuth. And before I turn this over to Mr. Frymuth to present the school district's case in chief, I will ask, is there anyone present in the room this evening who would like to request party status for this application? Seeing no hands, I will ask for a second time, is there anyone present in the room this evening who wishes to request party status for this application? Once again, the record should reflect that I have seen no hands, And Mr. Frymuth, before I turn it over to you, I will ask Mr. Heleniak to introduce himself and who he represents in this matter.
Good evening, Gregory Oleniak on behalf of the Solicitor's Office representing the Township.
Mr. Frymuth, you may begin.
Sorry, before we begin, I just want to remind everyone, if you're presenting, please make sure you're speaking into a microphone, the one that's on there. There's a little red light that says it's on. And if you want to walk around or anything, I have a handheld mic if you need it. We just need to make sure that even if you're loud, you need to speak into a microphone so it's picked up by our sound system and can be recorded. And if you're not speaking, if you turn off the mic, it'll help keep the feedback down in the room. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Good evening. My name is Andy Freemuth here for the school district. I appreciate some of the background that you provided in your opening comments. It certainly overlaps with some of the comments that I wanted to make preliminarily before I get to my witnesses this evening. After several years of planning, the school district has submitted plans for the town or to the township for the construction of a new middle school building on the properties that you mentioned earlier. That new middle school building will contain approximately 345,000 square feet in a three-story building. By comparison, the existing middle school building is approximately 301 square feet and 4 stories, with that fourth story along the eastern side of that existing building. As you will see in the plans that we present this evening, the new middle school building will be constructed in an open area that currently exists behind the existing school building and the district administration building. This location was selected so that the new school can be constructed while the existing school remains in use. Once the new middle school building is completed and ready for occupancy, the plan calls for the students to then be moved to the new building so that the existing middle school building can be demolished and the remaining site improvements can be completed. In addition, the plans for the new middle school building call for the consolidation of the two properties that are subject to this application into one parcel. The new building is designed to accommodate the current middle school student and faculty population, as well as the existing grade levels that it serves, plus a reasonable projection in growth over the course of 10 years. The result is that new building will have a capacity for 2,200 students and 265 faculty. So in essence, the new school building is going to serve the current student and faculty populations and the current grade levels. On May 25th, or excuse me, May 27th, the district obtained several variances from the Township Zoning Hearing Board, which you'll hear more about this evening in a moment. And of course, we're here seeking conditional use approval for that new building. It's existed on this property since the 1960s, the middle school use that is. The existing school building is already well in excess of the 30,000 square foot requirement that we heard about from Mr. Clark. And as I said, the district intends to serve the existing student population with new modern educational space. Fortunately, the law treats a conditional use as a permitted use, provided that you can satisfy all the standards and criteria for that use that exist in the zoning ordinance, and that the use doesn't result in any unanticipated adverse impact on the public health, safety, and welfare. The district's proposal satisfies those requirements, and the proposed middle school use will not result in any impact on the public health, safety, or welfare beyond what could normally be expected of this type of use. So in order to present the case this evening, I have 3 witnesses. I have David Schrader, the district's architect from Schrader Group. I have Chris Jensen, the district's professional engineer from T&M Associates, and Pete Spisak, the district's traffic planner from Traffic Planning and Design. So at this time, I'll call David Schrader to testify.
Would you state and spell your full name, please?
David Schrader, and David is D-A-V-I-D, Schrader is S-C-H-R-A-D-E-R.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before I get to David, actually, I did pass up an exhibit packet, which has the exhibits for this evening pre-marked, applicants 1 through applicants 21. I intend to address those through the course of questioning my witness and get those entered into the record. I also have them on PDF here. I know that we can see the Zoom presentation on the screen, so to the extent that that can come down and folks can follow along on the screen, I can do my best to scroll through those documents as we go along here.
Mr. Frymouth, I see that you have Mr. Schrader as has his CV as the first exhibit. If you intend to offer him as an expert, I think the township would be prepared to stipulate to his qualifications in order to save you some effort if the hearing officer doesn't object.
I do. I can ask 2 questions if you'd like me to get that into the record.
In light of the stipulation from the township and the fact that we are familiar with Mr. Schrader, we will accept him as an expert.
Right. We propose him as an expert in the field of architecture. Yeah. Thank you. David, was Schrader Group engaged by the school district to study, evaluate, and design options related to improvements to the current condition of the existing Abington Middle School?
We were.
Okay. And as a result of that engagement, are you familiar with the process that the district undertook to arrive at the decision to bring forward a plan that calls for the construction of a new middle school building to serve the district?
I am.
Okay. And are you familiar with the conditional use application that's the subject of tonight's hearing?
I am.
And did you prepare elevations and floor plans and renderings that were submitted with the conditional use application?
They were prepared under my direction, yes.
Great. And before we talk about the evaluation process that the district undertook, in determining to construct and bring forward this plan for a new middle school, I want to ask you a few questions about the existing middle school. Approximately how many square feet over how many floors is the existing middle school building?
The existing middle school building is approximately 301,000 square feet, and there are areas of the building that are actually 4 stories.
Okay. And approximately what is the current student population served by the existing middle school?
Clearly varies like any school day to day, but last number was 1,922.
And approximately what is the current number of faculty or staff associated with the existing middle school use and building?
Approximately 265.
And what grade levels are served by the existing middle school building?
Building serves grades 6 to 8.
Okay. And do you know how the district's middle school population compares to other school districts in Pennsylvania?
It is one of the larger middle schools in the state.
Okay. And although the middle school building and use exists today, we are here seeking conditional use approval to demolish that existing building and construct a new middle school building. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And now, can you just describe for us in detail the process that the district undertook with regard to evaluating the existing middle school, and including the final set of options that were considered in determining to propose a new middle school building on the property?
Certainly, probably provides a good framework for discussion. So we'll start with the facilities evaluation process. We were brought in 2023 as part of a team to do the architectural feasibility portion of this. It was a facility assessment. We also did a capacity assessment, so how many students the building could hold at that point in time. From that, we found that this building, and it was a team, but the team found that this building was one of the buildings in the district with the greatest need for renovation. So as far as facilities assessment, this is the building that needs the most work. And from a capacity standpoint, we found the structure to be approximately currently overutilized. In the educational use world, it was called about 115% capacity. So the building is being overused at this point in time in terms of the number of students attending that facility. From that, we developed an idealized program, and we're going to talk a little bit about total capacities shortly here, but the intent was to develop something that would give us a total square footage for the facility. We did that in April 2023, and then throughout the year 2023, we investigated a multitude of options for this. And so from the as part of the facility assessment portion, the kinds of things that we identified as challenges with the existing middle school building, and one can understand that a building constructed in 1962 with renovations in 1974 and additions in 1996 would have some shortcomings. And so the existing heating, ventilating, air conditioning systems, the electrical systems, the plumbing systems were all in need of replacement. Americans with Disability Act, ADA accessibility issues throughout the facility, The building envelope, which consists of the window systems, the roof systems, and so on, had long-term water intrusion and were in need of replacement. All of the finishes throughout the facility were in need of replacement. The building has some unique circulation issues in that all of the corridors are actually outboard and the classrooms are inboard. So there were some circulation issues, hallway capacity issues, and stairwell capacity issues. And so with all of those plus environmental challenges to the building, the district determined that one of the solutions that they would pursue was a new facility. And so that's that portion of the discussion. In terms of the options proposed as part of this, the district actually, and we as part of the team evaluating this, originally anticipated 12 different options for solutions to this, ranging from small additions, actually starting with full renovation of the facility and small additions, to demolition of portions of the building and additions with full renovations, to actual demolition of the existing building and renovations. The district did anticipate at one time some solutions for breaking the middle school into 2 structures as well. So going from, and now I'm talking about total capacities of 2,200 students, breaking that into 2 buildings of 1,100 students each. So imagine trying to place 2 middle schools in the district in places. So those were other options, and they anticipated that and tested that on a number of sites throughout the district. So I think that is a discussion of all of the different solutions that were discussed at certain points in time. Through a pretty significant evaluation process, quite a bit of community input through a survey process that the district put out a multitude of times, actually, they settled on 3 final solutions for the middle school. One was renovations only, which would leave the building at the same square footage that it was, and obviously replacing systems in kind. A second was a middle school where they demolished portions of the building. The largest demolition thought processes were the performing arts area. Those of you who know the Little Theater, the facility is a challenge from an ADA standpoint. It's also a challenge in terms of its capacity and the rooms around it. So the thought was to demolish that and build new performing arts areas to the building. And then the final option anticipated was this idea of demolishing the existing building and building new. Not in that order, obviously, because we want to build new, have the students move into the new building, and then go through the demolition and site restoration. And so those were ultimately the solutions reached.
And the key factors in the district's decision-making process to construct one new middle school, what were those key factors?
That's an interesting evaluation because it's not only a first cost evaluation where you're building duplicates of certain parts of a building, the core structures like gymnasiums, libraries, cafeterias, administrative complexes, and so on have to be replicated in 2 different buildings. So the square footage is more in each of the buildings, so you have that issue of 2 buildings that are greater square footage than the one. And the second is long-term issues that the district will find in that they have operational costs of 2 structures now, as well as staffing costs for all of those central spaces to the building. That and ultimately the issues of trying to find properties large enough to accommodate 2 middle schools in the district were ultimately factors that they discussed.
Okay. And approximately how many square feet is the proposed new middle school building?
The proposed building is approximately 345,000 feet.
And how many stories will it have?
This building's designed with 3 stories. We're going to show a couple of renderings, I believe, as part of the presentation here that will show that we do have an area that steps down. So there's a part of the building that steps down as a 2-story structure.
You already mentioned student capacity, but what's the teacher capacity to the proposed school building?
That will be essentially the same as it is.
And how did the district arrive at that design capacity for students and faculty or teachers?
The district does a good job of continuing their enrollment projection studies, and so they have a 10-year enrollment projection model that shows fluctuations with some minor increases, and so to allow for that, they program the building for up to 2,200 students.
And more square feet than the existing middle school building, is that correct?
Correct.
All right, let's go through some of the floor plans that are marked in the exhibit packet. I'm going to direct your attention first to what's been marked Exhibit A2. Can you describe for us what's depicted on that plan? I'm sorry, I can ask that question again. Yes. David, if you can turn to what's been pre-marked as Exhibit A2, can you tell us what's depicted on that plan, please?
Certainly. A2 is a lower level floor plan, and the left-hand side of the plan shows the gymnasium and athletic complex. The right-hand, or the upper right-hand side of the plan shows the mechanical room.
Great. And if we can go to A3, as I try to zoom out here, can you tell us what's depicted on that plan?
Sure. What's on the screen right now is A2, I think.
Yep, coming down.
Okay.
If you can just start speaking from the exhibit packet, that'd be great. I'll get to it, I promise you.
So this is the main level, the entry level to the building. The left-hand side of the building contains all of the community-type spaces. The upper left-hand corner is the gymnasium and athletic complex. The lower left-hand corner is the auditorium and performing arts complex. The central area that's kind of in white is the main lobby entry to the building. And the intent there is that you can separate that left-hand side, those community spaces for the evening, from the academic spaces on the right. And so this building is set up as a community building on the left, and it's set up as an academic school on the right. One of the primary goals of the design for this project was to reduce that total student population that we mentioned of possibly 2,200 students to smaller learning communities. So you will find groupings of classrooms or clustering of classrooms, 4 classroom wings, 3 stories each. So we have 3 levels, each correlating with a grade structure, so 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, or whatever floor they decide to locate the students on in each case. And from that grouping of, let's just say, 700 students, you're breaking those students into 4 groups so that they go to smaller learning communities, classrooms, learning spaces, learning pods, and so on. The second goal that the district had was to make sure that students in larger classes didn't feel like they were going to a giant dining space, which is, as we probably know, where some of the challenges happen for schools. And so it's actually broken down in the center here to 4 dining spaces so that each of the grade structures are further broken down to 4 dining groups. So that's the layout of the building with 4 clusters, 3 stories each.
Great. If we could just move along to what's been marked Exhibit A4, can you tell us what's depicted on that plan?
A4 is a replica of the first floor plan, but it's the second floor. The only difference here is that the building's library is located at the center on the right-hand side.
Great. And then just cruising along to Exhibit A5, can you just look at that plan and tell us what's depicted on that floor plan, please?
Another grade structure on another floor, and the focus here are arts and so on, types of spaces at the center.
Great. And I think you already covered the design philosophy for us in terms of small spaces within a big building, so we'll move on to the next question here. Can you just describe for us some of the factors that led to the increased floor area for the new middle school as compared to the existing building?
A couple of factors for sure. One of those is that when a building was designed in the 1960s, you can imagine that we built specifically the number of classrooms around exactly how many students you were trying to build the building for. And what I'm getting at is that since that point in time, we offer all sorts of programs for learning support, for special education, and so on, that have required additional classrooms in buildings to accommodate all of the programs that we run these days. That's one of the major factors. Another factor is, of course, The fact that we were trying to provide a performing arts center that was more significant and accommodated more of the student body than the little theater in the existing building. So that plus a number of other factors certainly figure into why this building has more square footage than a building built in the 60s.
Okay. And in your opinion, does the new middle school building allow the district to meet its programmatic needs for middle school students in the district?
It does.
Great. All right, let's move on to what's been marked Exhibit A6. If you look at this plan, David, can you tell us what's depicted on this plan?
Yeah, these are the exterior elevations of the building. This will make more sense when you see the renderings, but we'll just take the top elevation as an example. The upper left-hand corner of the top elevation, or the left-hand side, that's 2 classroom wings that you're seeing, and the classroom wing exterior materials are constructed of brick at the base for durability, brick for the stair towers, and then it's a metal panel product on the 2nd and 3rd floors. As you move across that elevation, you're looking at the main entry to the building. It's kind of a portico entry, consistent with the ordinance requirements. On the right-hand side, because we're at the very top of a hill here, this is actually built, as Mr. Jensen will testify shortly, where the existing tennis courts and the track at the top of the site are. We are able to take advantage of the drop in elevation to build the athletic complex on the right-hand side, dropping down the hillside so that it's adjacent to the playing field elevations, or close to those, on the right-hand side in this view. And so what it effectively does is it reduces that overall height, the feeling of the height of the building as you look at it across the site.
Great. Let's move on to what's been marked as Exhibit A7.
So this is the first of a series of views looking at what the proposed building, and what I just described as that front elevation to the building. The left-hand side of the image are those 2 classroom wings. The right-hand side is the athletic complex, and you are now driving up in what would effectively be a parent drop-off here, an extended parent drop-off up to the front entry of the building.
And if we move to Exhibit A8, can you describe for us what's depicted on that exhibit, David?
This image is looking kind of up Jericho Road, the driveway leading up to the building from Susquehanna Road. And again, you'll see a series of images from Mr. Jensen's testimony that will show how the site works, but you're looking at the front entry here. Same image, or same view as you saw previously. Left-hand side are the classroom wings, and the right-hand side are the athletics. And further to the right are all of the athletic fields.
And are you familiar with the properties that immediately adjoin the properties that are the subject to this application?
I am.
Okay, and am I correct, there are some residential properties that adjoin this site?
There are.
Okay. And you talked a little bit about where this property will be located on the site, and Chris will testify about that in more detail in a moment. But am I correct that this proposed new building is actually going to be moving further away from those residential properties than the existing building today?
It is.
Okay. And the properties that are subject to this application also adjoin the district's high school property, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And this building will be really located in close proximity to the existing high school building, is that right?
Across one of the parking lots, yes.
Great. And are you aware that this property is located in the CS Community Service Zoning District?
I am.
Okay. And are you familiar with some of the design requirements that are contained within the zoning regulations for that district?
We've reviewed them, yes.
And in your opinion, does the architecture proposed for the new school building comply with those design requirements?
It does.
Okay. And in particular, the CS district has a requirement related to how the front door should appear. You mentioned this in your testimony a moment ago with the type of entry, but does that type of entry comply with the code requirement?
It does. It calls for awnings, canopies, porticos, pediments, transoms, something like that. It even calls for landscaping with shrubs. We do have a landscaped entry. We also have a significant portico entry, and so it certainly will present itself as a front entry to the building.
And there are also a few requirements in the CS district related to roofs. Can you describe for the board, or for the record, any roof-mounted equipment that will be on the proposed building?
Yes, there are HVAC, heating, ventilating, air conditioning units on the roof. Most of them are set further back on the footprint of the roof. So this image is pretty realistic in that as you look up to the building, the parapet that surrounds the building on all sides will hide all of that equipment. There are two pieces of equipment. If you look at kind of the center of the two classroom wings, there's a glass stair tower that goes up there, and there's one unit, yeah, thank you. There's one unit over that glass stair tower on both the front of the building, and I guess we'd call it the back, but it's two front doors. And we are screening that one piece of equipment on each side, per the requirements of the ordinance.
Great. And Article 26 of the zoning ordinance also contains some standards for mechanical equipment. Is that correct?
Yes,
All right, and are you familiar with those standards?
I am.
Okay, and do the proposed plans for the middle school building comply with the standards contained in Article 26 related to mechanical equipment?
They do.
Okay. And back to the CS district for a moment, it also has a requirement related to roofs that it either be pitched on at least 80% of their surface with a pitch of 6 vertical to 12 horizontal, have a parapet for its entire length, or have a change in roof line of at least 2 vertical feet at least once every 50 horizontal feet. Does the proposed building comply with that requirement?
It does, and we use the parapet method to try to keep the overall height of the building at a reasonable, close to the ordinance scale, yes.
And does the building comply with that requirement for all facades that might be visible from public ways?
It does.
Okay. And the CS district also requires that blank walls are discouraged and requires windows on each story for each wall facing a public way. Does the proposed new building comply with that requirement?
It does.
Okay. And the CS district further requires that building facades may not be longer than 160 feet without a minimum 10-foot deep building offset. Does the proposed new school building comply with this requirement?
It does.
And in addition, the maximum length of a building in the CS district may be no greater than 320 feet, regardless of the number of offsets. Is that correct?
Correct.
And did the school district obtain a variance from this requirement to permit a length of the proposed building to exceed the maximum building length requirement?
The district did.
Okay. And is there any ground-mounted mechanical equipment associated with the new building?
There is a cooling tower structure that is located between this proposed building and the district administrative center, yes.
Okay. And will that equipment be enclosed in accordance with the requirements of the zoning ordinance?
It is.
Okay. And in your opinion, will any of the equipment that you've described create any kind of noise or fumes or odors that could negatively impact adjoining properties or violate any of the regulations of the township regarding noise or other environmental standards?
It will not.
And am I correct that no HVAC equipment is proposed to be located in any yard required by the zoning ordinance?
Correct. None of the equipment is located in any of the yard setbacks.
And do you have any reason to believe that the middle school use or the proposed new middle school building will be detrimental in any way to the properties in the immediate vicinity of the middle school property?
No.
Okay. And in your opinion, do you believe that the scale of the middle school use or the scale of the proposed middle school building as you've described it will in any way be incompatible with the surrounding neighborhood?
No.
Okay. Great. Those are all the questions that I have for Mr. Schrader at this time.
Mr. Heleniak, do you have any questions for Mr. Schrader?
I have just one quick question from the beginning of Mr. Schrader's testimony. So, Mr. Schrader, you testified that besides the plans being presented here tonight, the school district also considered creating 2 middle schools within the district?
That was an option.
And so by adding approximately 44,000 square feet to a single middle school building. It eliminated the need of creating a second middle school,
Correct.
which would probably in total be more square footage overall.
We actually built a program for 2 middle schools. I don't remember what the number was, but it was significantly more than the 345,000 feet, yes.
Thank you.
I assume that didn't prompt any
No.
redirect. Okay.
No.
You can call your next
Great,
witness.
great, thank you. This time I call Chris Jensen to be sworn in.
Tim, I don't know if you have to crane yourself. I don't know if we need you on the microphone. It's up to you.
Just state and spell your full name, please.
Sure, it's Christopher Jensen, Christopher Jensen.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Chris, I have your CV in the packet and up on the screen marked as Exhibit A9, is that correct?
Yes,
Great. And you're a professional, registered professional engineer, is that correct?
I am.
And have you provided expert testimony before zoning hearing boards and governing bodies in zoning proceedings in Pennsylvania before?
Yes, I have.
And
I'd
again,
offer,
Mr. Jensen is also familiar to me, and unless there's any objection from the township, he'll be admitted as an expert.
No, the township would stipulate.
great. He's offered as an expert in the area of civil engineering. Chris, you are familiar with the conditional use application we're here about, is that correct?
I am.
Okay, and you're familiar with the plans and the materials that were submitted with this application?
Yes.
Great. And are you familiar with the Abington Township ordinances, including the zoning ordinance and the subdivision and land development ordinance that apply to the new middle school project that's being proposed by the district?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm not going to try to bring these up on the screen because they're multiple pages, and it's going to be a little bit painful. So we'll go from the exhibit book. What's been marked Exhibit A10 and A11, are those the deeds for the properties at 2056 Susquehanna Road and 970 Highland Avenue in Abington Township?
Yes, they are.
And those parcels are presently owned by the Abington School District, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And those two parcels make up the larger property that's the subject of this conditional use application, is that right?
Correct.
And part of the plan for this project is to consolidate those two parcels in one larger parcel, is that correct?
Yes.
And that consolidated parcel will contain roughly 59.2 acres, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
And the consolidated parcel will ultimately contain the new middle school building, the existing administration building, and all the related improvements to those structures and uses, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Great. All right, if you turn to Exhibit A12, we see the two properties that are the subject of this application and how they're improved today, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
And while I get there, with reference to this plan, can you just describe the subject property, how it is used and how it's improved today?
Sure. So the subject property is zoned Community Service CS. There is a small sliver also of R4, which is high-density residential, Plan North along the back of the residences at the top of the screen. The use of the parcels today is both the existing middle school building as well as the district administration building. You can see the perimeter athletic facilities. It includes the cinder track on the left-hand side, tennis courts, ball fields. You also see your various access driveways from both Susquehanna Road, which runs up and down the screen on the right-hand side, and Highland Avenue, which runs left to right along the bottom of the screen. You see the various parking facilities, drop-off areas, bus loops, sidewalks, and then you'll see sort of a prominent green feature. Looks like a finger coming from the bottom, and that's a riparian corridor, floodplain area, where there is a creek that runs through the lower portion of the site.
And you already mentioned that this property is in the CS Community Service District, and we know that the existing building is 301,000 square feet. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And let's move to Exhibit A13. Can you tell us what's depicted on this plan, Chris?
So this plan shows the existing aerial that we were just looking at, except it also overlays the footprint of the new building. And you can see that it's on the location of the existing track, tennis courts, and district administration parking area.
Great. And can you explain why the school district decided to construct a new middle school building in that area
Sure.
behind the administration building?
Sure. So the district desires, and it's very important to them, that the operations of the school remain unaffected by construction. So and able to make that happen without the use of modulars or trailers or moving students from the site, we looked at the options to build a new school. And given the constraints of the location of the existing building, all the other site improvements, as well as the athletic facilities that are proximate to the neighbors, and the associated setbacks, it made the most sense, and really the only choice was to place the new building where we have it shown.
Great. And in this location, this building's not going to be closer to the residential properties that adjoin the site than the existing building. Is that correct?
No, in fact, it will be farther away.
Great. Okay. And let's move to what's been marked Exhibit A14. This is an overall plan for the proposed new middle school building. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And this plan contains a zoning data table as well as general notes and additional information related to the property and the use of the property. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And we'll talk about this in a little more detail in a moment, but is one of the conditional use requirements that must be satisfied a requirement that a master plan be submitted to the township?
Yes.
Okay. And does this plan satisfy the master plan requirements?
Yes, it does.
And there's actually a second sheet, I believe, associated with this exhibit, which just shows the existing conditions. Is that correct?
That's right. It's a two-sheet set.
Great. And that's all part of the master plan submission that's required by the zoning ordinance in connection with this conditional use?
Yes, that's right. Correct.
If we move to what's been marked Exhibit A15, can you describe for us what this plan is and what's depicted on this plan?
This plan is a rendering, colorized rendering of the proposed condition of all of the new improvements, including the new middle school building where it's located on the site. You can see that on the left-hand side. You can also see the associated parking for the new school. You could see the district admin building, which will remain in the same location without any modifications, excepting some additional parking or relocated parking. You can also see the various athletic facilities which remain in the same area as they are today along the perimeter of the site. And that includes ball fields, practice fields, tennis courts, and central to the site, new synthetic turf facilities. And then finally, you can see also the access points, which remain the same as they are today, and stormwater management facilities. We are showing constructed wetland facilities close to the riparian corridor that I mentioned earlier.
Great. And this will become a little relevant a little later, but can you just identify and call out for us on this plan where the trash area or refuse area is for the new middle school building?
Sure. So the trash area is immediately in between the back of the district admin building and the new school facing Highland Avenue. So it's behind, if you will, the district admin building if you're facing it from Highland Avenue.
Great. And I think it may be the same location, but can you just identify us for the record the loading and unloading areas associated with the new middle school building?
Sure, the loading, unloading is in that exact same area, just immediately to the right on the plan view of the trash area.
Great. And with regard to the drop-off and pickup loop for vehicles, which we'll see plans later on in the presentation, is it your understanding that that loop for parent drop-off and pickup is going to be longer than the loop that currently serves the existing middle school building?
That's right, it's significantly longer.
Okay, great. And does this plan propose larger or wider sidewalks for drop-off and pickup than are provided with the existing building today?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And is one of the intended goals of those two improvements, the longer loop and the wider sidewalks, to make the drop-off and pickup more efficient for the district at this school?
That's right, and in addition to those improvements, we have also designed a site circulation that would separate out the bus traffic from the parent pickup drop-off traffic.
Great. And with regard to the loading area that you identified a moment ago, can you tell us how many loading berths are proposed on this plan?
There is one loading berth for a large truck, tractor-trailer truck, and which could also accommodate a couple smaller vehicles as well, box-type trucks.
Great. And do you believe that the one berth that you just described and the loading area that's on this plan is sufficient for the proposed middle school use?
Yes.
Okay. And one other thing that I want to note on this plan, there's a three-way intersection at the top of the parking lot. Is that correct?
Yes, there is.
Okay. And can you just try and orient us to that three-way intersection again and just tell us the purpose of proposing that configuration in connection with this plan?
Sure. As Mr. Schrader testified a few minutes ago, the athletic wing of the building is at an angle, sort of to the upper right of the new building, and just off the top right-hand corner of the new building, you can see that intersection, that three-way intersection. And actually, I don't know if I'm referring to the same intersection that you might be asking me about, Andy.
Yeah, I think
I am, okay, because there's 4 points, but the purpose for it is currently there is a connector road that you can see that runs across the top left of the colorized area, the new improved area, that connects the high school property to the middle school property, and it becomes sort of a speedway for traffic, and this intersection has stop signs that are proposed, and it will work to slow down the traffic and calm the traffic that currently goes through there today.
Great, thank you. Let's move on to Exhibit A16. If you look at what's been marked A16, can you tell us what this document shows?
Sure, this is the zoning data table. It is the table that was found on the master plan that we were looking at earlier. And it shows the requirements from a zoning standpoint, both from a dimensional requirements perspective with noting the existing conditions as well as the proposed conditions. It also gives some calculations for building height and parking requirements and parking tabulations.
Great. Well, let's run through these because I think these are important to our obligations to satisfy the conditional use criteria for this use. So the table notes that the use of the property is an E14 use. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. And am I correct that an E14 use is a school or college, whether public or private?
Yes.
Okay. And an E14 use includes kindergartens, elementary, junior, and senior high schools. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And an E14, is the E14 use permitted in the CS, Community Service Zoning District?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And does the zoning ordinance state that at least 30,000 square feet of new floor area for an E14 use requires conditional use approval?
It does.
Okay. And is it your understanding that the new building will have approximately 44,000 square feet of additional floor area over and above what's in the existing school building?
Yes.
Okay. And Is it also your understanding that the new middle school building is going to serve the same student and faculty population as the existing school building?
That's correct.
Okay. And so is it your understanding or opinion that the use of this property, although there'll be new facilities, is generally going to remain the same as it is today?
Yes, that's right. It will remain the same.
Okay. And are you familiar with the specific criteria in the zoning ordinance related to an E14 use?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. And as we go through those criteria, as you mentioned earlier with respect to the size of the property, it's well in excess of the minimum 5 acres of lot area that's required. Is that correct?
Yes, it's 59 plus acres.
Great. And does the property take access from an arterial or collector road?
Yes, it takes access from both. Susquehanna is an arterial road and Highland is a collector road.
Great. And there's no temporary trailer or modular classrooms that are going to be utilized for this project, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And as previously mentioned, the school district submitted a master facilities plan with this application, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And we reviewed that plan as Exhibit A14, is that correct?
Yes.
Great. And if you look at subsection 5B of the E14 use, it requires a 300-foot setback from residential uses for buildings other than for storage and utility. Do the plans submitted with this application comply with that requirement?
Yes, it does. There is the existing district administration building, which is within the 300 feet, but that is a nonconformity that we are not seeking to change.
And the same 300-foot setback is required for organized activities like graduations and summer camps. Will the school district comply with that requirement?
Yes.
Okay. And a 300-foot setback for an E14 use that requires conditional use like this use is also required between residential uses and active recreational fields and structures. This plan shows athletic fields within that setback. Is that correct?
It does, in the same way that the existing plan, the existing conditions are within that setback.
Okay, great. And those fields will be spruced up a little bit as part of this plan. Is that correct?
That's right. We will be adding accessibility features so that people parking in the lots and coming from the buildings can access the fields and meeting all of the latest code requirements.
Great. And is it your understanding that the township has determined that the fields can remain in this location as an existing non-conforming condition?
Yes.
Okay, great. And now with regard to the bulk requirements in the zoning data table, can you just describe those items in terms of compliance with the dimensional requirements in the CS district?
Sure. Would you like me to go through each one of them?
Yeah, to
on
the extent that we
table?
haven't covered them. Yeah.
Okay. So we spoke about minimum lot area. We didn't yet speak about minimum lot width or depth. We are not changing those criteria from the existing condition, and in both cases, they meet the minimum beyond the requirement. The minimum front yard and the minimum side yard meet the requirements both in the existing and proposed condition, likewise the rear yard. Building coverage is well under the maximum allowed of 25%. We are going from an existing 7% to a proposed 8%. From an impervious coverage perspective, you had noted earlier that we appeared before the zoning hearing board, received relief for impervious coverage that takes an existing 37% coverage to 42%, with the requirement being 40%. And a similar related relief request that we were granted from the zoning hearing board, there was a green area coverage requirement that it be a minimum of 62%. Currently it's 63%, and we were granted relief to take that to 59%. In both cases, for impervious and green, there's quite a bit of discussion about the fact that we were not taking credit for the synthetic turf fields in those calculations. So that was discussed at length during the zoning hearing board hearing. The building height, we also were granted relief for exceeding the 45-foot requirement to go to 49 feet. It is an improvement over the existing building, which is over 55 feet, so that although we are proposing a building that is not as tall, it still required relief. From a building length perspective, per Mr. Schrader's testimony, we meet the requirement of maximum length without offsets by having a maximum length of 122, where without a 10-foot offset, where 160 is the maximum, and currently the existing building has 562 feet without a 10-foot offset, so it's quite a substantial improvement. And similar to the building height, we significantly improved the total length with, regardless of offsets, going from 774 to 598, although it still required relief because the requirement is 320. We talked also about the athletic fields and its 300-foot requirement and how those are existing within that setback, and we are not changing that. And finally, the school itself, compared to the 300-foot setback, we are improving its position from an encroachment into that setback being 271 to being 344 feet from the property line, so complying with that 300-foot setback.
Great. And then you have your building height calculations, but you just mentioned we did obtain a variance for the building height from the zoning hearing board, correct?
Right.
Great. And then can you just take us through the parking calculation on the zoning data table?
Sure. So in summary, the required parking is noted as being 399 total spaces required per the zoning code, and that is made up of 160 total administrative building spaces being required and 239 total middle school building parking spaces being required. So again, that's 399 total required. Existing today, in the current conditions, there are 441 spaces, so it meets the requirement. However, when you break down that into the current uses, the admin building falls short of the requirement at 103, with the middle school meeting the requirement at 338. Our proposed parking takes the admin building parking up by 1 to 104, and it takes the middle school up by 78 to 416. So we're adding 79 spaces.
Great. Can you just describe for us a little bit the rationale behind providing parking over and above the minimum required by the zoning ordinance?
Sure. So every educational use, particularly high schools, middle schools, have school events and other type activities that occur, whether they're academic, non-academic, during the day or in the evenings. And it's been noted, and there is perception and request that more parking be provided on the site. And the school district was actually provided some direction from the township to provide additional parking as well. That was discussed at the zoning hearing board in relative to the impervious surface coverage, which we were granted that relief for. And so, you know, all in all, that is the reason behind the need for the additional parking.
Great. And if you move to what's been marked as Exhibit A17, is this the letter from the zoning hearing board solicitor confirming that the variances you noted in the zoning data table were granted by the zoning hearing board?
Yes, it is.
Great. And in addition to the dimensional variances, relief was granted with regard to a disturbance in the floodplain conservation district. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Can you, as briefly as you can, just describe the nature of that particular relief item?
Sure. So there is a stormwater outfall that we are proposing that's coming from one of our constructed wetland basins. That outfall itself, particularly it's the riprap apron or the energy dissipator at the end of the outfall, is within the floodplain line. And out of an abundance of caution, we requested relief because that is a part of the outfall, although it's not the end wall or in the constructed end wall unit, but we did seek relief and were granted relief to have that riprap apron in the floodplain.
Great. And in all other respects, does this plan comply with the requirements of the Floodplain Conservation District, in your opinion?
Yes, it does.
Great. Okay, so Section 905 of the zoning ordinance contains special development regulations applicable to uses in the CS district. Are you familiar with those regulations?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And we'll go through them. The properties at issue, which will be consolidated as part of this application, are they currently under single ownership, and will they in the future be under single ownership in the district?
They are, and the two properties will be consolidated as part of the project into one parcel.
Great. And does the property have direct access to a public street of a minimum paved cartway of 32 feet?
Yes, it does. Susquehanna Road is approximately 40-plus feet in width.
Okay. And you mentioned this when we went through the rendered site plan, but just confirm for us again that the plans provide for a defined location for the collection, storage, and ultimate disposal of solid waste?
They do.
Okay. And that location is within the building envelope, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And will all solid waste be stored in covered containers or in permanent structures?
Yes.
Okay, just can you describe those containers and structures for us if you can?
So they will be in dumpsters with covered tops, as well as within a defined structured area with fencing to act as a screening element, although that particular element is not technically required per the ordinance.
And will the loading and the trash collection area that you've just described be located on the properties such that they won't be readily visible from the street?
Yes, it will not be readily visible from the street.
And Section 905 also says that no accessory structures may be located in the required yards except under limited circumstances. You mentioned the administration building already, but are we in compliance with that particular requirement?
We are.
Okay. And let's move on to Article 24, which covers landscaping. It's in the zoning ordinance. Are you familiar with the requirements in Article 24 of the zoning ordinance there related to landscaping, Chris?
I am.
Okay, and the school district is not and has not sought any variances related to the landscaping requirements applicable to this project. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And the plan we saw not long ago as Exhibit A15, that rendered site plan, that depicts landscaping along the property lines in the parking lots and in other locations required by the zoning ordinance and the subdivision and land development ordinance, in your opinion. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And the school district also has a pending land development application for this project in the township, which also includes a landscaping plan set in accordance with the township's subdivision and land development ordinance. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you believe there is sufficient space on this property to accommodate the landscaping that's required by both the zoning ordinance and the township subdivision and land development ordinance?
Yes.
Great. Article 26, I mentioned this when David was testifying, contains general regulations for all uses in the township. Are you familiar with that article, Chris?
I am.
Great. And you've reviewed that article, obviously?
I have.
Okay,
Yes.
and let's go through those requirements to the extent that they are applicable. So Section 2601B contains certain community development standards, like limits on overdevelopment, right-of-way improvements required by the commissioners, hours of operation for uses, a requirement for a traffic study, and regulations related to the reuse of buildings. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
And in your opinion, does the project comply with those requirements in Section 2601B?
It does.
Okay. And Section 2601C contains community security standards prohibiting security bars on windows, regulating security gates, and regulating abandoned buildings. Does the proposed use comply with those requirements, in your opinion?
It does.
And Section 2601D contains certain density regulations. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, do you believe those density regulations to be applicable here?
No, I don't. They're actually written for residential development, residential uses.
And Section 2601E contains standards relating to the display and storage of goods. Do you believe those requirements to be applicable?
It does mention, in the case of a community service district, institutional uses having the ability to have seasonal or temporary sales. So if that's something that was within the building, that would be applicable. Otherwise, that we comply.
Okay. So to the extent that they do apply, the district will comply with those requirements?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Great. And Section 2601F provides environmental performance standards, which I'll go through with you right now. Do you believe the use will result in any dirt, dust, fly ash, fumes, vapors, or gases that will violate the requirements of Section 2601F?
No.
Do you believe that the proposed use will create a danger to the area from fire or explosion?
No.
Do you believe that the use will create any heat, lighting, or radiation beyond the property line?
No.
And will the use result in any electrical disturbance?
No.
And do you believe that the use will endanger the underground water level or supply for other properties?
No.
And this use will be connected to public water and sewer, is that correct?
That's right.
Do you believe that the use will create congestion or hazardous traffic by reason of truck or delivery traffic that might have to access the property?
No, it won't. That's very limited and will not create a hazard.
And Section 2601G provides some exceptions for height limitations, but we've already secured zoning relief for the height of the proposed building for this project. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Section 2601H contains lighting standards. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And does the proposed new middle school building and development comply with those standards?
It does.
And a lighting plan has been submitted to the township in connection with the land development application, is that right?
It has.
Okay, and is it your expectation that there may be comments to that plan which will require revisions, but ultimately the district intends to comply with those standards for lighting?
Yes.
Okay. And Section 2601I identifies several lot standards applicable to all lots. Does the proposed use comply with those lot standards?
Yes.
2601J concerns mechanical equipment, which David spoke to, so we'll pass over that one. Section 2601K relates to open space standards. Am I correct that no open space as contemplated by this section is required or provided in connection with this project?
That's correct.
Okay. And Section 2601L sets forth standards applicable to zoning uses generally, is that correct?
Yes.
And to the extent that those standards apply to this particular use, does the project and the proposed use comply with those requirements?
They do.
Great. And Section 2601M contains certain requirements related to impervious surface and certain standards related to impervious surfaces, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And as we mentioned earlier, the district obtained a variance for impervious coverage from the zoning hearing board in terms of the percentage, but does the plan comply with all of the other standards related to impervious surfaces that are in that section?
It does.
And Section 2601N contains trash containment standards, which we previously discussed, but does the proposed use and proposed development comply with this section in your opinion?
Yes, it does.
And 2601O contains a number of regulations related to yards. Does the proposed use comply with those regulations to the extent that they apply to this project?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And then lastly, Section 2601P contains street and driveway standards. Does the proposed use comply with those requirements in your opinion?
Yes, it does.
Great. And therefore, is your opinion that the proposed middle school use complies with applicable requirements in the zoning ordinance, which we've just gone through, or that the district has obtained zoning relief with respect to a specific requirement?
That's correct. It complies with all the requirements, and we were granted relief for those that it did not.
Great. And then Article 18 is one more section we need to address, Chris. That contains general criteria applicable to conditional uses. Are you familiar with Article 18 and specifically Section 1806 of the zoning ordinance?
I am.
Okay, and in your opinion, does the proposed middle school use meet those criteria?
Yes.
Okay. And specifically, is the new middle school as proposed consistent with the Abington Township Comprehensive Plan?
It is.
Okay. And in your opinion, is the proposed middle school project consistent with the spirit, purposes, and intent of the CS district?
Yes.
Do you have any reason to believe that the proposed use will be a detriment to properties in the immediate vicinity of the property at issue?
No, I don't.
Okay. Is the proposed use consistent with the current Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan, the township's open space, recreation, and environmental resource protection plan, and any other applicable revitalization or improvement plans developed by the township, in your opinion?
Yes, it's consistent, and actually, one of the plans mentions access by the public to the outdoor recreation facilities, and that is something that the district has done over the years. They have made the facilities available to the public and will continue to do that.
Great. And is the subject property, in your opinion, a suitable location for its continued use as a middle school, considering the surrounding area?
Yes.
Do you believe that the proposed new middle school building and the other site improvements that are proposed for the project will have a negative impact on the surrounding community character in any way?
No.
You have worked on school-related projects before, is that correct?
Yes, many.
And in your experience working on projects, do you believe that the proposed use that we've just described, and even the use that exists today, will generate or generates any excessive noise, air pollution, or lighting?
No.
Okay. Do you have any reason to believe that the proposed use will create any safety hazards or other nuisances?
No, I don't.
Great. Those are all the questions that I have for Mr. Jensen.
Mr. Holediak, do you have any questions for Mr. Jensen?
Just two brief questions. Mr. Jensen, I believe you testified that the two parcels of the Susquehanna Road parcel and the Highland Avenue parcel will be consolidated?
That's correct, yes.
What's the intended address of the new parcel? Would it be a Susquehanna Road parcel or a Highland Avenue parcel for the district?
I don't have an answer to that, other than the new front door, if you will, to the building faces Susquehanna.
Okay, thank you. And then the second question relates to the testimony you gave about loading berths. Is it the district's representation that the number of loading berths is in the discretion of the Board of Commissioners for this use, as long as the district proves that the provided loading berths are sufficient for the demand of the use?
Yes, it's my interpretation that is something that in the ordinance is allowed to be determined by the Board of Commissioners to determine if that's an acceptable number of spaces, loading berths.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Great.
No to
No
redirect?
follow-up? No, thank you.
You can call your next witness.
Great. Thanks, Chris. I'll call Pete Sisak from TPD. If I could have Pete sworn in, that'd be great.
Would you state and spell your full name, please?
Yeah, it's Peter Spizak, Peter Spisszzak.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
I'm assuming you're offering Mr. Spizak as an expert.
Yes, an expert in transportation planning, and his CV has been marked as Exhibit A18. Pete, that's a copy of your CV, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Great. Yes.
Again, he's very familiar to me, and I'm assuming you're going to stipulate his qualifications.
The township will
So
stipulate.
he'll be admitted as an expert.
Great, thank you. Pete, TPD has been engaged by the district to prepare a traffic impact assessment in connection with the new middle school project we're talking about this evening. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and are you familiar with the middle school property and the existing middle school facilities that are on the property?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the proposal to construct a new middle school building on the property?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the traffic impact assessment that has been prepared by TPD and submitted with this conditional use application?
Yes.
Great. And it won't be on the screen because it's too long, but I do have a separate copy that I think you have marked as Exhibit A19. Is this a copy of the traffic impact assessment prepared by TPD and submitted to the township by the school district?
Yes.
Okay, great. And can you just take a few moments and walk us through the scope of the assessment and the conclusions and the recommendations that are noted in the executive summary?
Sure. We looked at the existing access for the middle school and the high school, all of the driveways, basically 5 intersections that we looked at as part of this assessment. As part of any traffic study, you first, obviously count existing traffic at the intersections. We counted the traffic in November of last year during the AM and school, PM peak hours. As mentioned previously, the school is not anticipated to have any additional students, so therefore there's not really any additional trips associated with the school. We did, however, then take the next step. We analyze existing conditions. We then grow the traffic per a growth rate that's provided by PennDOT every year for each county. They issue that growth rate every August. So we then grew the traffic from existing conditions. We also looked at if there were any nearby developments in the area, and then added that traffic. Believe there was one nearby development, an apartment complex, that we added that traffic to the existing, to the intersections that we looked at. We do an analysis of existing conditions, of future conditions without the proposed site, and then future conditions with the proposed site. And with the new middle school, the only difference is, and we're going to get to this, but the only difference in the traffic would be where the buses would be entering and exiting the site. So what we did for the build condition was we redirected or redistributed the buses to the new access locations, not necessarily new access, but the new locations where they would access the new proposed school, and then did another analysis. And based on all that analysis, all of the intersections that we looked at would continue to operate at acceptable levels of service. There wouldn't be very much difference at all in the results of the analysis for each of the intersections. And as part of the just overall review of the area, and as part of the traffic study, we are going to propose to look at and coordinate with the township on ADA and pedestrian facilities at the intersections of Highland Avenue and Tyler Road, one of the access points to the school, as well as the Highland Avenue and the school district administration building driveway to, potentially upgrade those ADA ramps and pedestrian facilities.
So the conclusion is that there's no recommendation for improvements to the surrounding road network other than the curb ramp improvements that you just mentioned. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, great. And the proposed development's not going to generate any new vehicle trips during the weekday AM or PM school peak hour, correct?
Correct.
Great. All right, before we talk about the drop-off, with respect to parent vehicles and buses, I just want to go through a current vehicle count with you, so we have that on the record in terms of what types and what number of vehicles are accessing the property. So how many buses currently serve the middle school use?
38.
And how many vans currently serve the middle school use?
13.
Okay. And what is the current count of student drop-off and pickup vehicles generated by the middle school use? And this is a parent drop-off?
Parent drop-off, yeah.
Yes.
It's on average about 200.
Great. And then how many students typically or currently walk to school?
Approximately 185 on average, 186, somewhere around there.
Great. And there's no anticipated change in these counts at this time, is that correct?
That's correct.
Great. What I have up on the screen is Exhibit A20. If you can look at that exhibit and then just describe for us what it depicts.
Yeah, sure. This is the existing school and the existing parent drop-off route, as well as the existing bus route. And it's kind of hard to see on the plan on the screen, but there is a red line that shows the parent drop-off loop, which basically comes in off of Susquehanna loops around the existing parking area, drops off in front of the middle school, and then also exits back onto Susquehanna. It also shows a blue line that, for buses, which would enter off of Susquehanna, go to basically go down or set, plan down on this, make a left, go in and drop the students off, and then exit via Tyler Road onto Highland Avenue, or Highland Drive Road.
And what is the number of stacked vehicles for existing parent pickup drop-off? Do you know that number?
Sure, it is about 65, there's about room for 65 vehicles from the drop-off point all the way back to Susquehanna.
Okay, and then do you know the number for the full loop in the existing condition?
106 vehicles.
Great, okay. And then if we move to what's been marked as Exhibit A21. This is a little easier to see. We had a
Yeah.
lot of grading lines on the last plan, so apologize for that.
Yeah, so
But what's depicted here?
So this is the proposed site plan with basically the red line would be the parent drop-off loop, and the blue line would be the bus drop-off areas. Again, the parent drop-off loop wouldn't really change. They would still access via Susquehanna. The difference is that this drop-off loop is significantly longer than the existing one. They would drop off. They would come in. Parents would come in off of Susquehanna. They would make a right around the parking area, and then make a left and come in along the frontage of the new building, and then loop back around and exit via Susquehanna. Now the buses would enter via Tyler Road and loop back around the existing school, or the proposed school, into the back and drop the students off back there, and then loop. They have three options. They could loop out and go through the high school driveway, which I think will be minimally used. I don't know that it's just an available option for the buses. Then they could also exit via the administration, the driveway, or back onto Tyler Road. So buses and parents and buses and cars would no longer intermingle with each other.
Great. And that's a desirable condition in your opinion?
Yes.
Great. And you mentioned that the number of stacked vehicles for the proposed parent pickup drop-off is longer. Do you have the counts for us in terms of the capacity of that
Yeah,
drop-off
so
loop?
with the proposed parent drop-off loop, now we're looking at 99 vehicles before you would, to Susquehanna, or 193 in the full loop.
Great. Okay. And we talked about the desirable condition for the separation of the buses from the vehicles, but that's a condition that does not exist today, is that correct?
That's correct.
Great. And this traffic impact assessment has been submitted to the township as part of its land development application as well, is that correct?
That's correct.
And it's your expectation that this assessment will be reviewed by the township's traffic consultant?
Yes.
Again, to the extent that the township requires any additional information or adjustments, the school district is going to provide that information and make those adjustments as part of the land development review process, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And in your opinion, as a transportation planner and based on the conclusions in the traffic impact assessment, do you have any reason to believe that the middle school property is itself not suitable for a middle school use?
No.
Okay. And in your opinion, do you believe that the existing road system will be able to accommodate the peak traffic generated by the proposed use in a safe and efficient manner?
Yes.
Great. Those are all the questions that I have at this time.
Mr. Heleniak, do you have any questions?
I have no questions for this witness. Thank you.
Mr. Frymouth, do you have any other witnesses?
That's all that I have.
Okay.
Yep, I just would ask that my exhibits be accepted into the record.
All right, and they will be.
Great.
Is there anyone in the room who wishes to make public comment? Again, seeing no hands, is there anyone in the room who wishes to make public comment? Okay. You rest, Mr.?
I do rest, yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yep.
So I think we're going to look at what, the 27th? Second meeting in August? Mr. Frymouth, I assume you don't want to submit findings of fact and conclusions of law?
I would prefer not to, yes.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So it's our intent or hope to have my recommendation and report to the board by the time they meet in August, on August 13th. That will give them 2 weeks to review the recommendation, and we'll be putting it on the August 27th agenda for a vote by the Board of Commissioners.
Great.
Okay?
That sounds good. Yes.
So unless you want to schedule another hearing, because Mrs. Castorini likes to be out extra nights, so you're good with being done tonight?
I'm good with closing the
All right.
record, absolutely.
I'm trying to get you out, Terry, so, all right. I think we are concluded. Thank you, everybody.
Great, thank you.